imagine, right? You will be highly valued if you just do one small thing, but do it better than anybody else in the world. If you just make chappals, like literally bathroom slippers, but you make the best bathroom slippers in the world, everybody in the world would wear it and you'll be highly valued. So we just focused on doing one thing and we got that right, and we delivered every time, every single time. It worked. Our competitors, on the contrary, raised tons of money, and we were bootstrapped, by the way, and that is the most important part of it, right? A bunch of engineers fresh out of college. My co-founder and CTO was just literally 3 months out of IIT Kanpur, and all he did is just did one thing, and the ragtag group of engineers, right, out of college, from IIT Kanpur, they created a technology that actually was not existing in the world.
Today, I have with me Kshitij Jain, founder of Joveo. Joveo is a programmatic recruitment advertising platform. I'll hand over the mic to Kshitij to explain to us in layman terms what Joveo does. Kshitij, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Siddharth. Thank you for having me today. Uh, what Jovio does, right? It's actually hidden in a name. It's a new age acronym for a job for everyone, and it's not just a job ad. It's helping the person get the job, right? We get people hired. To be precise, we created a platform. What we do is we are able to distribute jobs for large enterprise companies to variety of sources all over the world in real time, and provide them real time analytics through the entire funnel, from when a person clicks on the job to the person applies to the job. They're on to shortlist interviews and hires. As a result, what happened is the platform got so much data and so much learning that now we could even predict that if you were to hire these many people, what's your cost going to be, what's your time going to be, what's your apply to hire conversions are going to be, right? And where will you find relevant candidates? And for the candidate, we put just the right ad in front of them. So think about it as a nurse job is not going to go to a truck driver. It's not a spray and pray anymore, and that's what Jove does.
Kshitij, you have been a serial entrepreneur. Your last company, Mobolt, which was also in similar space, was sold to Indeed. And for the listeners, Indeed is one of the largest job platforms in the world after the likes of LinkedIn, Monster. Interesting thing is that you have also worked for a large time for Monster, almost 11 years. And now you have spent, I believe, roughly 20 plus years in this space, that is,
Correct.
what we call hiring, job advertising. uh, so tell us some insights we would love to know about this space, which you believe common man like me wouldn't know, right? Which you have garnered through the 2 decades of experience.
Sure. So you mentioned, right, LinkedIn, Monster, Indeed, right? Indeed, actually now, right now, is perhaps the biggest online recruitment job site in the world. And just the fact that you could, take three names, but then when you're in India, you have Naukri, you have Time Jobs, Shine, a lot of other players, right? And you go to UK, when you go to Germany, France, Italy, any country in the world, Latin America, for every country you have specific job boards, and people don't know, right? And since the times, right, people never knew where to post the job. Uh, Many a times, for a certain location and a certain category, a certain job board will give you the best results, right? And it has always been a carpet bomb, right? Just throw it everywhere and whatever sticks sticks. So this entire industry is very decentralized. Very, it's not like there's one player. Even though you have one big player called Indeed and LinkedIn, two players actually who are worldwide. But if you look at country-specific nuances, uh, they are, like, for example, in India, right? Naukri dominates. So that's something that I think in the job industry people don't know, that every in country is unique. Then the hiring uh, um, preferences are unique by each country. So the local job boards are much suited and better poised to adapt to the local nuances. Number three, I think it has been the only industry which has actually not fundamentally changed from 1995 when it started. It's still called a job board, right? If you remember, right, back in the day, there used to be boards, and you post a job and you pray, I hope I can get any application. The business model kind of changed, and now you post a job and you can pay when you click, when someone clicks on the job. But really, at the end of the day, it's still a job board. So there are two things that come out of it. One, the models have not truly moved towards the performance where it matters, which is the ultimate hire, which has got to move. Uh, uh, Number two is, and that is a more important thing, is uh, there is, and I'm trying to figure out how to say that. Uh, the fundamental problem is that it is a pull model. So you pull a person into a job board, and then you pull a person into a company's career site. Then you pull the person to, you know, applying to a job from apply process standpoint. It's it's a pull process. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and we were talking about startups, and we were talking about some of the how how motivation works in startups and things like that. And he said, hey, in the morning I open my YouTube and I have articles around startups and motivation. And so imagine the world has got to a point where the large companies know exactly who you are, what you like, when you like, and how you like, how you consume content, and they put an ad in front of you. Now that is a push model, right? You are not going anywhere. They're all coming to you. That technology is so advanced, and it's in a simplistic way, it's ad tech. It's what Google does. It's what Amazon does at the core of it. That technology has not been implemented or used in any shape or form in our industry. And fundamentally, this industry has to change from being pulled into a job board to put the right ad in front of a job seeker, like just the one right ad. Therefore, our motto has always been three applies, two shortlist, one hire. But if I were to extend it, it is 4-3-2-1, right? Four clicks, three applies, two shortlist, one hire. Can we get that accurate? And I think some of these things that when you are a practitioner of the industry, you realize. Second is, from an outside, it looks very simple. Hey, there's a company that hires, there's a recruiter, there's a hiring manager, job boards and applications. But there's so many different players. There is applicant tracking systems, there are CRMs, there are conversational chatbots, and they're all downstream, right? When the application is managed. Now you look at upstream, you have job boards, uh, you have the media agencies, right? You have staffing agencies, you have recruitment process outsourcing companies, you have gig economy players, and you have different type of job boards, right? One is post and pray job boards, second is pay-per-click job boards, third is social and search marketplaces like Facebook for jobs and Google for jobs. So the entire ecosystem, it's literally confusing, right? There are different types of companies, different types of players, different rules by different companies, and how do you kind of make sense all of that? So from an outside, it may look like a simplistic, hey, I just have a job and the person gets hired. But if you go inside, it's it's quite uh, confusing for a layman.
And what kept you motivated that you spent 2 decades and are still so much excited about this industry? Is it the unsolved problems?
uh, uh, you could say that, but I'll tell you what, my real motivation. Uh, People make decisions in life, and there's some decisions that have a that leave a very indelible mark, right? A deep, and some of those decisions are who you marry, what kind of a house you buy, uh, and what kind of a job you take. So imagine the right job for you actually increases the happiness index of the world. Because if you ask people, right, 9 out of 10 people would say they're not happy in their jobs. It's not because of them, it's because they just haven't found the right fit, the right company, the right culture, the right place for them. Nobody comes to the company just to do a job. They come to a company, they show up in the office every day to be valued, to be appreciated for what they do, to be able to give their best to the company they work for. But this is where the problem is. The problem is that we have, as a technology in HR, not tried to solve that problem of, can I help that guy be in the right job? Then the second is, imagine, right? In India, there's a demand and supply issue, right? There's way more demand than than supply is, and if you do not have a job today, within 2 days you'll get a job. It doesn't happen the same way in the Western world. Uh, of course, some jobs are always in demand, but for a lot of jobs, for the majority of the last 30, 20 years, except for the like last 6 months when things are unprecedented in the history of recruiting, if a person loses a job, the person does not know when the next job will come. It's hard to get jobs in those economies. And when a person does not have a job, the families disintegrate. There's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of misery, there's a kids suffer. And those economies, unlike the Eastern economies where people save, in those economies, it's literally month on month. It's hard life there, right? It looks very, nice from outside. So if you can help the person get a job, not only does it increases the happiness, but actually deeply impacts the humankind by the people getting a job that they can't find themselves. And that drives me, right? How many such industries in the world can actually make that scale of impact, right? Maybe Facebook, right? Because they touch everybody. But out of the 7 billion people in the world, more than half are qualified for a job, are in a job. If you were to solve their problem, imagine billions of people you can reach and make a real difference to humankind. So that what's keeping going, right? On that painting, right? It is not my signature that is there. It is not my team signature that is there. But if whenever anybody will praise that painting, my entire team, Jovio, will get good karma. So whenever someone gets a job and say, "Thank God I got a job," a part of that good karma is coming to Jovio and the entire crew that we have. So that's kind of it's not a nutshell though, but it's truly what gets me going.
Kshitij, in our one-on-one interactions or offline, I find that you are a fantastic leader in sales and selling. Can you first share the difference between sales and selling, and then the simple process to master both?
Oh, my friend, this is a really tough question to do it that simplistically, but I'll try my best. First of all, understand, right? Uh, there's a subtle difference between sales and selling. Selling is an art. Sales is science. So managing a funnel, right? You have so many prospects or suspects. Then you generate leads from them, and then you engage with the leads and qualify those leads, and then you kind of get them into different stages of sales cycle, and then you get a sale out of it. Now, I would advise that nobody should focus on how many customers did I sold. Focus on the pipeline in sales. Focus on the quality conversion. So qualifying the pipeline, quality conversions, improving the conversions, and the outcome will automatically the number of contracts you get, right? So that is sales. It's a science. It's data. It's numbers. It's predictability is there, and you can optimize for each every step of the process. Selling, however, is like there are 10 people who also say the same thing, but all 10 say it in a different way. So when you have to put your value proposition, the mistakes company make is they they tie up everybody in the teams to say you are going to say exactly this message this way. This message is okay. This way has to be the person's own style. I've seen salespeople of all different forms, shapes, types, right? The way they talk, the way they conduct, and it's a unique style that they bring. But at a high level, right? There are two types of salespeople, right? One is who are very, very passionate, intuitive, believe in what they sell, and the second is who are a lot more logical in the way they go about selling. That's too large. buckets, but it is an individual style that takes it there. If you ask an engineer, a software engineer who's really good at what she or he does, uh, she will tell you that software engineering coding is both an art and a science. So I, for one, would like to claim that there's not much of a difference between sales and software engineering. A lot of similarities are there, and I'm just fortunate to actually working, deep in the trenches with my engineers, and also having come from a sales background, I know the similarities that exist. So there's a difference between selling and sales, and selling is an art and sales is a science.
Going back in your journey of your first company, Mobolt, uh, it got acquired for a double-digit $1 million by Indeed within 2 years of starting. What was the magic recipe that you built?
There's always one magic recipe. There's only one. um, Build a good product, or do only one thing. See, imagine, right? You will be highly valued if you just do one small thing but do it better than anybody else in the world. If you just make chappals, like literally bathroom slippers, but you make the best bathroom slippers in the world, everybody in the world would wear it and you'll be highly valued. So we just focused on doing one thing, and we got that right, and we delivered every time, every single time. It worked. Our competitors, on the contrary, raised tons of money, and we were bootstrapped, by the way, and that is the most important part of it, right? A bunch of engineers fresh out of college. My co-founder and CTO was just literally 3 months out of IIT Kanpur, and and all he did is just did one thing, and the ragtag group of engineers, right, out of college, from IIT Kanpur, they created a technology that actually was not existing in the world. Second, that is an important thing to get any startup successful is know what your customer needs, not what the customer wants. The customer want is a pit for which there is no end. Customer, like for example, I need food to survive, right? I need air to breathe, but I want masala dosa, I want idli, I want uttapam, I want all the best cuisines out there. So focus on the need, find that need, find one problem that you can solve, and solve the damn thing. It cannot be more complicated than that. It never is. So that's what we did in Mobolt. We focused on optimizing the apply process such that we can reduce application job application process from 30 minutes to 1 minute. And at a philosophical level, we had, let's save 30 minutes. By doing that, let's save 30 minutes in the lives of 1 billion people. And the entire team understood that message. And this is the third thing: do one thing, only talk about it, align the entire team to that, and let everybody just focus on that. And I'm telling you, magic will happen. So that's what we did in Mobolt. We had, if I'm not wrong, almost 15 or Fortune 100 companies. We had three of the top 10 brands in the world. It was a wild success. And we almost became profitable in a year and a half of operations, and it was great. So there's really no formula. I did not know anything. The only thing I know is whatever business knowledge I know, bring it back and just transfer that business knowledge to my engineers and let the engineering team do the magic. And that's kind of my formula of success for Mobile was.
You shared a very interesting point that focus on what customer needs and not on what customer wants. In your experience, how do you figure that out in the customer conversations? Because customer may throw at 100 things at you.
This is a great question. And I'm going to take some time explaining this. And this is just my personal formula. It's like there's nowhere I've read this and understood this. So when you think there is a problem, right? And let's say customer says, okay, so you ask, why is that a problem? Because if I don't hire, then I'll not be able to have people who will be on the job doing the amount of work, and the output will suffer. All right, so then you kind of say, hey, but why do you have to do that, or why do you have to do that, and keep on asking why, and eventually get to the point we'll say, if this doesn't happen, then as a call center, let's take an example of a call center. If I do not have people on time, doing the work they're supposed to be doing, that my customers who are large, like the airlines or department stores who are using this outsourced call center, uh, they will penalize this company for tens of millions of dollars because their customer care suffers. They will have customer churn. So the problem that you understood is, the problem is of the speed of a person, the speed at which you can deliver, the predictability at which you can deliver a higher. So that if you solve just that and say, I don't care what all you think you want, but I will give you this one thing, the one thing that keeps you up at night, right? Everybody has one thing that keeps them up at night, and finding that need is when you do five whys. You keep on asking why, then the customer says, to the point where customer should be saying, I'm done, I don't have any more whys. But keep at it. It's there's a lot of discomfort going deep. Not everybody goes deep in the ocean, but as the saying in Hindi is, right, gehre pani mein hi moti mein milte hain, right? So you have to go deep in understanding what the customer's real problem is. Customer may say, I may need this. I don't care what you need. I'm here to solve your problem. And once you think you have, then you say, okay, what if this happens, and what if this happens, and what if this happens? So you think of it as a number line. You identify a problem, you keep on getting to the real problem, you get there, then you have a solution on top of it, and you keep on saying, what if, and you get to the point where if you build this, the customer is going to basically fall in love with you. It's true in any aspect of life, right? And so that's how you find what the customer real problem is. You keep on asking whys. And imagine, right, what we have been told in the work we do is, you have a problem, ask five whys, root cause analysis, right? At the end of the day, it is the same thing.
This brings me to another interesting question. When you are solving for customers, if you are a B2C uh, business building for consumers, you can talk to consumers and they can discuss about their problem. But when you are solving for B2B and you have always operated your life, Kshitij, in B2B domain, there are so many. There's not a single customer in the enterprise you are solving for. Every CXO, every manager in their hierarchy is your customer because they are the line of impact. Right. First is, how do you then reach out to the right person who can explain you that this is the problem, and if you solve it, they'll buy it. And especially when you don't have the card, you had that card in Monster. Uh, when you're an entrepreneur, you don't have a card to reach out to them.
So that's a great question again, because either you're from the industry, you know everyone, uh, uh, but don't underestimate the power of asking for help. If not from the industry, you go out to people. You always find people in your network, in your friend circle, who knows someone, who knows someone, who knows someone, and blatantly, uh, without any shame, say, ask for help. I'm guaranteeing you, even if you ask for help for people on the street, on the airports, and say, hey, I'm trying to do this, can you help me give some answers? People will stop and give you the answers. So, and mobile was not the first thing I did. uh, Before that, I dabbled in trying to start a few things, and I would just reach out to people on email. I'd pick up the phone and say, hey, I know you don't know me, but I really would appreciate this answer because I'm trying to validate a concept or figure something out. And a lot of times it's trial and error. I say, hey, hold on, I think I'm not the right person, but I know just the right person for you. And make sure that you appreciate that, right? You thank that, and then and create a virtual circle of people wanting to help you. uh, uh, Nowadays, right, LinkedIn is very popular, but if someone helps you, post it on LinkedIn, say, hey, a stranger helped me, and then you realize 10 other people is trying to help you. But all of us have a network. If we dig into it, we'll find that there's always someone who can help you. And yesterday I wanted to hear more about recruiter's problem in a certain space, and I realized that one of my classmates was a co-founder of Teamlease, and she's in the US. And I said, hey, Sangita, Sangita, help me solve this problem, right? And he said, just go and ask recruiters. And I said, I can help you talk to some recruiters, and you can ask them, and like how this thing plays out, right? So the only right answer is, if you think you have a problem, just start knocking the doors. And I think cold calling is the most underrated skill. I think everybody who wants to be an entrepreneur needs to know how to cold call, pick up the phone, and ask for help.
But this is a very important skill you mentioned, asking for help the right way and developing this muscle of yours as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Oh, entrepreneurs have to go, like, you have to be able to go extra mile. You have to do what others are not willing to do. You have to be willing to beg without an ego. You have to be able to share credit without taking any. It is just the mindset, right? Because you are so married to that one end goal that nothing else matters prior to that. Everything else is meaningless in my mind. And everything that I did and everything my team did and we did in the past, it's the people who I worked with in the past helped me. They came out of the way and say, "Hey, I know you're doing this. Uh, we want to just let you know about this." It just is amazing that how universe conspires when you aspire, and you go down that road. You don't realize the helps come from complete unknown sources. So there's always a way.
Are you an affirmation person that you write down your affirmations and then they come true?
I don't write it down, but I obsess about it. Uh, and there's a subtle difference. Um, I'm married to only the goal, and if I don't get to the goal, it's okay. That's fine. It happens, right? Shit happens, right? You didn't get to the goal, you learn something from it, and you move on. So having an ability to move on is also important as much as you're obsessing about a goal. And and for me, the goal is making a difference there. And if your goal is pure, see, and I know this is a podcast and all, but I have a philosophy that don't लक्ष्मी के पीछे मत भागो. लक्ष्मी किसी के हाथ नहीं आती. माँ सरस्वती के पीछे भागो. अगर सरस्वती हैं तो लक्ष्मी जी भी आएंगी. So go after learning and stay married to that, and eventually all the goodness will come out of that.
Kshitij, would like to now dive into your journey of building Joveo, the key milestones, the mistakes you made, the learnings from those till now.
Uh, I once, I had a prospective investor who came to our door, and I said, I guess you guys have a checklist of things that the company should have done, one, and the checklist of things the company should not have done, and the bad checklist, if anything is checked, you would not invest in the company. So on the bad checklist, we have checked every single item, and some of them multiple times over. So, uh, uh, so we did everything wrong, right? The only thing we did right is our product market fit was established from day zero, and then call it what you may. But I think just living the space forever and having done everything that you could do in the space, it was obvious to me the problem was there. uh, at the beginning we faltered in creating a product which we couldn't control how fast it would grow. It was basically an MVP, and lack of better word, a POC or an MVP. And when the customer base grew with and exploded, and we just couldn't address it, then we continue to patch it and never patch something that is not built. We should have completely put a full stop and said we will not sell anymore, and focus on getting the product right. And until it is completely validated, uh, tested rigorously, we will not go back in the market. And that's kind of the mistake that we made, and we learned from it. Second is hire people, acquire companies with the right cultural fit. We are practical thinkers, we are analytical people, so we say, hey, there is a good fit, let's do that. Just because something fits does not mean it will fit. The culture makes it fit. The technology complement, or whatever the service complementing that is there, makes it look like it will fit. So hire people with the same DNA. Birds of the same feather flock together, right? And so imagine, right? There is an eagle, there is a sparrow, and there's a crow, and all three want to fly in tandem. They can't. But if the three eagles, they will fly in tandem. Three crows and three sparrows. It's not. It's that unity of culture. It's a unity of how you see the world, a unity of your work ethic. And those kind of unities have to happen for something to happen, and that's where we went wrong, right? Now add that along with the product that doesn't really work initially, and we ran into certain blocks, but eventually we quickly realized it, we learned from it, and then I tell the story, right? People say, hey, but it sounds a little like everything went wrong. But then how come you guys grew as much as you grew? Like this is like this growth has been stupendous, right? Really do see growth like that. And the thing that we did right is the people who were actually there with the right DNA, the right culture, the right heart, they build the company. And this is where we are, and there's only greater good once you learn from your mistakes. So yeah, so I would call hiring and the product are the two things that I could have done better.
Uh, would love to know your journey, right? Growing up in Delhi and your learnings coming from a traditional Marwari family that you applied in your business life throughout.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a great question. Um, Sometimes the stupidest decisions you make in your life turns out to be the best, right? I was in 12th standard. My parents thought I was complete useless nincompoop, and just to kind of prove to them that I'm not as much and I'll make you proud, did well, and then got into SRCC in commerce, and I quit all of that. I said I'm not going to study after that, and I went to our traditional family business of gemstones, color gemstones, and that's where I worked with real, true Marwadi business people. Uh, I learned that cash is the king. If you run out of runway, there's nothing that you left with. Running after scale has some value, but after a certain point of time, right, you've got to make cash. So that's one thing I learned. Second is uh, get to know your business extremely well. When you're in gemstones, and if you're 99% right and 1% wrong, it means the difference between losing hundreds of thousands of dollars or making hundreds of thousands of dollars. You really really got to know your stuff well. So those are some of the things that were ingrained. Third, which is the most important lesson in life that I got, and I think that's the best thing to have happened, that my traditional Marwadi family is, and there's so many other things, but um, it is wrong to say that you do what you love. This is wrong, right? Uh, if you if that is the case, right? Because anything that you do on a repetitive basis every day, it's ad nauseum, right? You just keep on doing this every day. You're not going to love it. You're going to get bored by it, and everybody wants change. And this is the culture that we have. Okay, let's go for a change. But then, if that was the case, we would have no Olympians. They are the people who do the same thing again and again every single day. So when you do something and you get better at it and better at it, then you start loving it. So becoming a specialist, becoming really good at doing something, you will build love. All arranged marriages in India were built on that concept, right? That you put in hard work and then the love will happen. And right now we flip the concept, saying that, hey, I got to know what I love and then I will do that. And that's what they told me, the power, the merit of hard work. I'm not just talking hard work, I'm talking painful. I'm talking, it was, they will make me sit in like for 6 hours in cross-legged, looking at stones as little as 1 millimeter, and I would not get up, and it will be the middle of summer, no AC, and you got to do what you got to do, and then you build that resolve, you build that endurance, you build that, and once I got good at it, I got appreciated it by it, and just goodness flowed from me, and then I started loving it. So that's one thing. The last, I know I keep on saying that, but mota moti is a very important thing, right? In Marwadis, we say mota moti. Generally, what will happen, what that would look like. Doing that will help you make your decisions really, really quick. Like, more or less, it looks right. Let's do it. So that's one last thing I would say. There's just so many more, and then all of these things eventually over a period of time, I implemented.
Your journey of moving to US I found really interesting. Would love if you could share that because you never intended to settle there?
No. I did not. I never wanted to. Well, when I was in school, right, high school, then I wanted to. But then, once I got settled down, I had friends, I had a great job. It was all fine. Uh, it is. I'll come straight. Like my wife, she was working for World Bank India, and she knew that she had to go for higher studies in economics to do well in life, and she she pursued that, and she got admission into the best school in the U.S. And I promised her that no matter where she goes, even if you go to hell or heaven, wherever it is, I'll follow you there, and that's what happened. The second thing is, from a company standpoint, it is a great coincidence because I was a subject matter expert, a global subject matter expert for cross-border sales. So my team was cross-border sales team, and as Monster was growing leaps and bounds that time, they wanted to put that team together in the US, and they said, "Hey, and I went and told my management. I said, if I'm not going to be able to get a transfer over there, then I don't care how I go there if to be with my wife." And they said, "Hey, we believe that we can grow this cross-border sales business that I started in APAC, and why don't you go and do it from there across APAC, Middle East, Africa, Eastern Europe, Russia, Turkey, like the whole of world except for Western Europe and North America." So that's kind of the two things came together.
You shared in your journey that many people took a chance on you while in your job at Monster, then after it. Uh, what is that quality that makes people take more chances on someone than, let's say, X over Y? And how do you become that kind of a person?
It's a leap of faith, my friend. There's no way to determine that. You have an instinct that in Monster, I was in sales, and I had a my manager who used to head Monster in APAC. His name is Arun Taranki, and I said I wanted to move to product, and he was not happy about it. But he took a leap of faith and said, "All right, champ, come over and see what you can do." Never touched product before that in my life, and many a times, a lot of people just took a giant leap of faith on me and let me do so. And I asked them what made you do that, and they said, "Hey, they will give me all the reasons, but eventually said, hey, we did not know it will work or not. We just thought you could, and we did it." And I think it's basically perhaps driven by the goodness they had received that they were passing on. That's kind of my analysis. So, you create this virtuous cycle, you take leap of faith. And in our company, we took a leap of faith on a girl who joined us when she was 23 years old. She was, for lack of a better word, um, like just a junior most HR, come receptionist, come cultural hacker, right? When we were a very small company. And she just proved right. And we took a leap of faith and gave her another task. And she proved us, like, wrong by how good she was. And then we kept on taking a leap of faith. And today she is a functional head, and she's a part of the executive team, and she's a part of the board meetings. And that's what happens, right? You take a leap of faith and people will surprise you. But there's no
Kshitij,
way to really truly figure this out one versus another.
you never stopped growing. From your 11 years in Monster, you ran so many countries for Monster. Then you sold a company for multi-million dollars to Indeed. Someone would have chilled and retired, but you kept on pushing you boundaries. What is that drives you consistently to keep on pushing?
uh, Once someone asked me, right, uh, why are you in business, uh, and why are you doing what you're doing? And I said, I'm in the business of unfinished business. I want to be able to take one thing to a proper, good, logical conclusion. Just one thing. I'm not saying too many, right? And it might appear from a distant that, wow, bootstrapped company, Indeed's first ever acquisition, Mobolt, awesome multiples, great. A lot of other companies were in the competitive space that time wanting to acquire us. So everything was there. But did I take it to a logical conclusion? Because it's the man in the mirror. It's my reflection in the mirror that speaks the truth to me. And I know I did not. And and it's on me. So do one thing, take it to the finish, then start another thing. So for me, the finish is, can I make a small little dent in the universe of helping people get a job? helping people get hired, and that's kind of what drives me all the time. So I don't think this has this has anything to do about money. uh, uh, Money, I believe, is the easiest thing in the world to make, and it's one thing that will never truly make you happy. It actually, more money is more complications in life. So that was never an objective, and I guess that's the reason why I never chilled. And you know what, I don't think too much. Uh, I just wanted to do something, and I just took a jump in the pool and figured out how to swim.
Thank you so much. There has been a wonderful conversation, learning from you, a lot of lessons to take, and I believe uh, my listeners are able to relate with the same. Uh, it's been an honor to host you on the podcast.
Oh no, it's been an honor to get to know you, Siddharth, and then this is really a great conversation. I'm actually going to send this and share this with my wife.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.